Okay. Um. Okay.
My microphone, and it seems to work out pretty well for me. Now, mic filter, that's going to help, but if you don't have a pop filter, I turn the microphone to the side like this and I speak past it. I'm not speaking directly into it, I'm speaking past to it right to you guys. So this way, any hard P sounds, that air that might puff out of my mouth as I'm talking, it's not going directly into the microphone, it's just going right past it. And the microphone's still going to do a perfectly fine job of picking up my voice as the sound travels past the front of the microphone. So that's what I would recommend if you don't have a particular stand. And another thing regarding the stand, when you go to get a pop filter, just check out the kind of attachment that it needs to attach to the stand, because a lot of them have like a bracket where they could attach to something that's circular or square, but this stand here is a little odd shaped and they don't really fit well in there. I actually made my own custom bracket that just went behind one of these screws. It was a metal bar that sticked out like this, had a little hole in it, and then I could attach my pop filter to that, and that worked out really good. And actually I have a video on that. I'll link to that above here. You can go check that out. All right, rotating this guy back around here. So in order to get a good sound, the gain knob here is something you really need to pay attention to. So this gain knob, I'm gonna bring it back in here. So this gain knob right here is super important. And the reason is that if you have this turned up pretty much any more than I have it now, which is a quarter way up. So here's 0. And if I turn it up, I should be peaking out and it should be getting pretty loud. And if I'm quiet, you should even be able to hear the fans on my computer running. So what you want to do is you want this knob right here, your gain, to be definitely less than that much. Again, there's 0. I'm going to bring it up maybe around there. Maybe it's 25%, probably even less maybe. And the reason that you want to keep your gain down low like that is because that limits the microphone from picking up a lot of extra noise that you might have in your environment. This microphone gets real sensitive real quick once you crank up that gain. So you want to keep that as low as you can. Now, most of this video I'm doing with this lav mic right here, just as I'm playing with this, but I will switch back and forth and I will note it on the screen when I'm using the Yeti versus when I'm using my lav mic, and you'll probably hear the difference too. So super important, that gain, you want it as low as you can with it still being able to pick up your voice. You know, that way you got to hold the microphone within a foot, maybe 6 to 8 inches at most from your mouth, and that's going to give you good pickup on your microphone, and it's going to eliminate a lot of that extra noise that you might hear in your environment. Now, in my little studio here, I've got acoustic blankets all the way around me. I'm in a little room I built in my basement, so it does a pretty good job of limiting the sound that you would hear, you know, bouncing and echoing and that kind of stuff. There's still a little bit of that, but my environment is pretty good. Before I had all my acoustic blankets up, the environment was not that good, and this thing would pick up, you know, a little bit of reverb or echo bouncing off the walls and things like that. So by keeping this gain knob down, that's going to limit how much this mic picks up and how sensitive it is. So then once you get that set, the next thing you need to do is jump into your computer. Again, obviously I'm assuming you plugged in the USB into your computer, and you want to go to your computer. I'm working on a Mac, but I imagine it's going to be similar on a PC. I want to make sure that I got good levels coming into my computer. So we got our microphone set up. The gain is where I think it should be. It's not too high. We're getting a little bit of a signal. Now we're going to jump on the computer, finally tweak a little bit more of our levels here, just to make sure we're getting a good signal and we've got some good audio to work with. So let's jump onto the computer and see what we got over there. So again, like I mentioned, I'm on a Mac here and I've got the Yeti microphone hooked up, and that's what you're currently hearing me on is the Yeti. So I have that gain down and it's turned up just a little bit on the actual microphone, as we already talked about. Super important. I know I keep mentioning it, but that's probably the most important part here. The next thing we want to look at here is your sound input settings in your computer. So I'm on a Mac. This is where I find it, and I got the input right here selected, and I can see my Yeti microphone right here. Now down here is my levels coming into the computer. So you want to make sure your levels aren't going too high. You don't want them to peak all the way up to the top here, because that's too much, and it would be too strong. So you're going to have to do some tests and see how it works out for your environment. Mine, I have the computer boosted up a little bit more and the gain on the microphone lower, but I can drop this down a little bit and you should be able to hear my voice get a little bit quieter. And if I bring it back up, say 75% there, you know, I've got some decent levels. That's not too bad. And if I yell, hello, we're not peaking all the way up. So I had it up just a little bit higher, so I'll bring that up just a little more. And that seems to work out pretty good on my Mac. Now again, I would run some tests and see what sounds the best on the microphone, because I'm sure the way, you know, Macs versus PCs versus, I don't know, whatever kind of computer you're on is processing the signal might be a little different. So on a Mac, this is the best way that I found to get good results from this microphone. So that's what I would use for computer settings. I think it's great. But that said, when I bring it into DaVinci Resolve, because that's what I use to edit all my programs, I'll bring it to nerd, love me some good audio, right? It also up that there version of my Yeti. I've been doing it for a long time. If you see other videos on my channel, it's all using the Yeti. And